All right, welcome to the deep dive. We got a really interesting document sent to us called podcast title, The Future of Space Exploration.pdf. And wow, just looking through this thing, it's clear that we're on the verge of some pretty amazing advancements when it comes to, well, heading out beyond Earth.
Yeah, it's really incredible.
And that's what we are going to deep dive into today. We're going to be talking about everything from, like boots on Mars all the way to reaching for the stars, interstellar travel. A lot of these concepts used to be like, science fiction, but this document, it's laying out actual plans. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about comes from discussions around NASA, SpaceX, and a bunch of private companies too, really driving a lot of this stuff.
It's a very exciting time. A lot of these ideas are becoming more concrete, much more, practical.
Yeah, and that's what we want to get into. We want to unpack the stuff that stood out to us, the stuff that's truly mind-blowing, the stuff that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, and what's really striking is just the sheer ambition. We're not talking about just like sending a probe here, doing a little experiment there. This document outlines a future where humanity has a sustained presence off-world. Mars and the moon, those are kind of like the first steps, the close-to-home steps, and then after that, well, who knows?
It's amazing. It's like, Star Trek is starting to become real life.
Well, maybe not quite yet, but we're getting there.
So let's start close to home then. Mars.
Okay.
SpaceX, and I'm sure everyone has heard about this, SpaceX, Elon Musk, their goal is to actually have a self-sustaining colony on Mars by the 2030s. I mean, that's not that far away. And we're talking little over a decade.
Yeah, it's an aggressive timeline, no doubt.
So what makes Mars, out of all the places in the solar system, why Mars? What makes it such a prime target?
Well, the document really gets into this. It lays out a bunch of reasons, but it boils down to Mars having the potential for humans to live there long term. It has a thin atmosphere. We know for sure there's water under the surface. Plus, there's a possibility we could use this stuff already on Mars, the local resources, to build and, survive. And then the document even talks about terraforming, like actually changing Mars's environment, like making it more like Earth.
Whoa, hold on. Terraforming, that sounds like something out of a movie.
It does, but it's a concept that's being seriously considered. Yeah, the technology to do it might be a ways off, but the fact that it's even on the table, that's significant.
So before we start packing our bags for Mars, or should I say packing our, what are they called?
Rovers.
No,
What do you mean, spacesuits?
Yes, spacesuits. Before we start packing our spacesuits for Mars, the moon, it seems like the moon is having, a comeback. It's becoming a hot topic again.
Definitely. The document talks a lot about NASA's Artemis program. Remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Well, they're aiming to get people, astronauts, back on the moon soon. Like 2025 soon.
Wow, that's right around the corner.
Yeah, but that's not all.
Yeah.
This time, it's not just about planting a flag and coming home. The plan is to build a permanent base.
A permanent base. So we would have people living on the moon all the time.
That's the idea. It would be a huge step.
Yeah.
The first real step towards humanity actually becoming a multiplanetary species.
I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like living on the moon. You'd look up at the sky and see Earth.
It would be pretty incredible.
But why the moon? Why build a base there?
Good question. So the document emphasizes that, the moon would be like a stepping stone.
A stepping stone to where?
To everywhere.
Yeah.
To deeper space, to Mars even. Think about it. We could launch missions from the moon, and it would be a lot easier. The moon's gravity is way weaker than Earth's. And this is really important. There's water ice on the moon.
There's water on the moon?
Yeah, in the form of ice, like frozen water. Yeah. And we could use that. We could use it for, for drinking water, obviously. But we could also break it down and make rocket fuel.
Wow. So we could, refuel our spacecraft on the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It would be a lot cheaper than hauling all that fuel up from Earth. It would make going to Mars and beyond, it would make it a lot more practical.
It's like a cosmic gas station. I love it.
That's one way to put it.
And you know what else? This document even talks about space hotels.
Oh, yeah.
And lunar tourism. Imagine taking a vacation on the moon.
It's not as far-fetched as it sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, we've already seen the beginnings of space tourism with those short suborbital flights. So, yeah, lunar vacations, it could definitely happen.
I just can't imagine the commute, though.
Yeah, traffic might be a little rough.
Okay. So we've talked about Mars, we've talked about the moon, but this document, it goes even further. It talks about interstellar travel, like traveling to other stars.
Yeah, the stuff that's really out there. When you think interstellar travel, you probably think huge spaceships, generations of people living and dying on board to reach another star.
Right, like a giant arc.
But this document, it talks about a completely different approach. Have you heard of the Breakthrough Starshot project?
I think I saw something about it online. What is it?
Well, it's an initiative to develop these tiny spacecraft,
Huh?
like really tiny,
How tiny?
like smaller than your phone tiny. And they'd be equipped with, cameras, sensors, communication equipment, all the essentials. And the idea is to launch thousands of these tiny spacecraft, to send them to Proxima Centauri. That's the closest star to our sun.
Okay, but how could something that small, how could it ever travel to another star? It would take, wouldn't it take thousands of years?
Well, that's the really cool part. Instead of using rockets, they would be propelled by these massive laser arrays back here on Earth. The lasers would focus their energy on these light sails attached to the spacecraft and, well, basically push them through space. And we're talking about reaching a significant fraction of the speed of light.
So they'd be like laser-powered space sailboats.
Pretty much, yeah. And at those speeds, the journey to Proxima Centauri, it could take about 20 years.
20 years? That's incredible. So, someone could launch one of these things and actually get the data back within their lifetime.
Potentially, yes. But there are a ton of technological hurdles to overcome before we get there.
I can imagine.
And think about this. This document really emphasizes this. AI and robotics, they're going to play a huge role in this. Navigating across those vast distances, exploring any exoplanets they might encounter, it's going to require a level of autonomy we've never even dreamed of.
Yeah, we're going to need some really smart robots. So if we bring all this together for you, the listener, the future of space exploration, well, at least according to this document, it's shaping up to be pretty amazing. We're talking about human colonies on Mars, permanent bases on the moon, space hotels, lunar tourism, and even the possibility of sending tiny spacecraft to other stars.
And don't forget the robots.
Right, the robots. They're going to be our partners in this incredible adventure. It's a fundamental shift in how we think about our place in the universe. We're not just exploring anymore. We're becoming a spacefaring species.
Exactly.
And the universe, as we've seen, is full of possibilities. So here's a thought for you to ponder, listener. Out of all the amazing things we've talked about today, Martian settlements, lunar outposts, interstellar missions, what do you think is the most compelling? What has the greatest potential for humanity? Think about that. And until next time, keep looking up.